G'day, my name is Jenny and I'm an Aussie mum of 16 children.
And my name is Sabrina. I'm number 8 out of the kids, so I'm the middle child. I've been on a few of these, but yeah, we're here to have a quick chat to you today.
Now, if you can give me 10 minutes of your time to watch this video, I'm going to help you get prepared for Christmas. Now, it's lovely to see all the videos online of the families that have already bought their gifts, they've got their food organised, everything's wrapped, the tree's done, everything's decorated, and they're all ready for the big day. But if your life has been a little bit more chaotic and you're not quite ready for the big day yet, there's still time. There's still time to get everything organised, and let me help take the stress out of the Christmas last minute prep.
So I guess, what would be your first tip for, you know, people at Christmas? Sometimes they get a bit overwhelmed, and at this time of year, I guess, you know, people's budgets might be tight, or you know, they might feel like they have so many things to buy, still so many things to do, and yeah, what's your, I guess, first tip, you know, how to even tackle that if you're feeling overwhelmed?
I would say go make yourself a cuppa and sit down and make a list. Everybody knows how much you know how much I love a good list. Yep. We have a list for everything in this home. It just gets me organised and takes the stress out of my day-to-day organisation.
Yep.
So make yourself a cuppa and sit down, take a deep breath, and let's write down a list of the few things that you really need to pay attention to right now so that you can get everything done.
Okay, we've got our cuppa. We're sitting down to write our list.
I don't have a cuppa. I need a cuppa.
So what should we actually write on the list?
Okay, we're going to have 4 categories on that list, which is going to be your budget, your gift list, your food list, and your schedule. So why don't we start with the budget first? I think that's on everyone's minds this year. The cost of living has been out of control. The increases in prices, the pressure put on families, the bigger bills for everything, it's been really difficult. So I think everyone has pulled back a little bit this year with their Christmas shopping. Even those that have been really organised and have been planning and saving all year for it. I think families have really taken a blow this year with their money, and so we have to be a little bit more careful with how we spend it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, I guess, about budget is don't feel like you have to, you know, spend more than what you can afford.
What you have.
Because everyone understands that cost of living is affecting everyone. Families, couples, singles living on their own, the elderly, like everyone. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing before you even think about what presents you might want to buy people, or, you know, what you might want to gift for someone on Christmas, is you need to know what availability do you have in your budget to spend without affecting things like your bills, or you know, like essentials, I guess, the things that are ongoing costs, that, you know, rent, for example, for a lot of people, mortgage payments, things like that. So I think the biggest thing firstly is don't feel like you need to dip into that money to pay for Christmas, because there are definitely tips and tricks to still enjoy the day without blowing your budget. So
yeah, I think if we bring it right back to the basics and we remember the reason for the season, this is not a competition. Those who spend the most at Christmas do not win. All you do is end up with a debt at the end of the day. So it's about the family time together and just the happiness and the joy of the season. It has nothing to do with having to spend the most money on each other. So the disposable income is the amount that you have earned after you take your bills and your responsibilities out of your wage. So that's what you have to spend. We don't need to be using credit cards at Christmas time. You don't want to be buying the gifts now and paying for something that you gave one of your family members in December. You don't want to be paying for that next July.
Exactly.
Imagine how much interest you would have to pay on borrowing that money to buy a gift for somebody. Doesn't make any sense.
And if that means that, like, you can't buy the most expensive present. That's also okay. I think it's a big misconception these days that to have a good present, it has to be expensive.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think if you can't afford it in your budget, then don't put yourself into debt just for the sake of buying someone a present.
Let's make a new rule that we take the pressure off ourselves at Christmas time.
Yeah.
There's too much, and we've had enough stress this year, so let's take the pressure off and we keep it simple.
Yeah.
And that means working within our budget. So if you don't have a large budget, look, you might have $500, you might have $1,000 or more to spend on Christmas, you might have $50 to spend at Christmas time, and that's all you've got, and that's still okay. You know, it's still okay, because Christmas is not about what you're spending.
We spoke about people having different budgets, so
Yep.
what are some things, I guess, just as you know, basic ideas as to how we can fit different types of gifts into those amounts, because obviously they're going to vary depending on what budget range you're in, and that's totally okay to have different budgets, but what you can or can't afford will come down to what that disposable income is. When it comes to gifts and comes to budget, like how do you know, manage what you can give people, I guess?
Yeah. First of all, when I'm gifting at Christmas time in particular, I have a list for that too, and I will show you that list up here. If Santa is coming to somebody in your house, you don't want to get Santa's gifts mixed up with mum and dad's gifts, so we have a Santa column so we can keep a check of that. Then I'll write down everything that I'm buying people. I write down the cost, and then when it's wrapped, I actually have a column where I write down how many gifts per person I actually have. So on the day when I'm handing out gifts, I know how many I have to hand, so I can tick them off as I go so that nobody misses out on anything.
Yeah, that's really important in our family, because our pile of presents normally is quite big just due to the volume of people, I guess. Like, it's not always like, you know, you have...
They might get 3 or 4 gifts each, but when you put 25 plus people together,
it adds up really fast.
That's a lot of gifts to sort through, and we're getting better. I think each year we're getting better at sorting through that and how we're handing them out. We can't actually do the gifts here in the lounge room anymore. We have outgrown this space, and the last few years we've been doing it outside. So as we take the gifts outside, we try and put them in a little bit more organized fashion so that we can hand them out easier, but it doesn't always happen.
Exactly.
I mean, it's hot here in Australia at the moment. We're in summertime, so we get a little bit flustered, and it can be a little bit chaotic on the day, but having that list helps greatly, because I can write everything down. I know whether I am at my budget, whether I've got a little bit more to spend, and then I can add to it if I need to.
Yeah, and for those, I guess, that have some limited budgets, like what are some tips for, you know, because obviously it's easy to say someone might have $1,000, just buy some presents. That's easy for us. Just like, you know, easy for anyone to say if they've got that kind of money, and that's fine. If someone had, say, you know, $100 or $50, like what would be your tips for them in managing a smaller budget, I guess?
Yeah, I think you have to get creative. So think homemade. Homemade gifts are really special and really precious. They're the things you tend to hang on to for many years and look back on and think, wow, somebody put a lot of effort into making that for me. And sometimes, you know, if your kids want to give you a gift and you could only give them a few dollars, get them to draw you a picture or make you a Christmas card and put some tinsel and, you know, get a little bit crafty with things. That never goes astray.
I always think that those more, you know, personal gifts really do hit home, and I even have memories of when we're little, you know, when we were little kids, that we'd get those little personal gifts, and I mean, some of them I still have to this day. So like, yeah, you truly do hold on to them, because I think it's more, it's not about the gift itself. Like, again, it's good to get gifts and you can be excited about them, but I think it's the thought that goes behind it is so much more precious, because obviously you're spending time with your family, and the thought that someone, you know, spent the time to get whatever present it is for you, or you know, just even spend the time with you is really special.
And sometimes too, you might find something at a reasonable price in a shop, but it might look really small and uninteresting to give to somebody, Even little things like gift cards can look a bit plain, can't they, to give. So sometimes spending $1 or $2 at one of the cheap shops, you can buy little tins or little boxes that you can put them in. You might do something funny and find a whole stack of boxes and wrap one box and then put that into a bigger box and into a bigger box, so it looks like a really big gift, but you're getting something small inside. But it's I think you've got to get creative with how you present things. Tons of ribbons make things look more impressive.
Exactly.
A gift with lots of ribbons takes a little bit more time to get into the box. The anticipation of opening things can make it seem bigger than what it actually is. I don't think kids have to know all the ins and outs of the parents' budget. You don't want to hide it from them. You don't want to say like, oh, we've got all the money in the world and you can pick whatever you like. I think it's important for children to understand that money is limited and we have to be careful with it. But we don't want to put that pressure onto our children either. So keep happy. Even if you've got just a ball or a t-shirt or something small to give your kids, get excited about it. Make it a big deal so that they understand that this is coming with love and joy from mum and dad. Make it exciting for them, regardless of what it is.
And it is that thing, I guess, like when you're excited to give someone the present, they're more excited to receive it because, like, again, like when you radiate that off yourself, that joy off yourself, it is contagious. People around you, like, if you smile, other people will smile. If you get excited about something, they get excited about it. If you're grumpy about it and you're sad about it, then that's the mood for the day. And who wants sad at Christmas time? Who wants grumpy at Christmas time? None of us, right? And we don't want any arguments, so I will share on our Instagram page a words for the week that I wrote a couple of years ago about how to receive a gift. So remember that it's not about just the gift giving, it's about receiving too. And some people struggle with receiving gifts the right way. They forget their manners, and if it's something they've already got or something they might not use or particularly like, they lose their tact and they can be maybe a little bit blunt or a bit mean. And again, that will hurt the other person's feelings. Let's keep it joyful. Let's just use our manners and be kind to each other at Christmas time. And do stay tuned because we'll get Mum to go with her elf shopping. If you're a bit stumped as when we say, get creative, like we're going to show you some ideas of things that don't cost a fortune that do have a really big impact, things that we've maybe even used in the past when budgets have been tight. I
will grab our elf this year, which is Eric. So he's number 14 of our 16 children, and I might take him shopping with me and we might go to a few of the shops and I'll give you some ideas on some really simple and affordable gifts that still look nice and still shows your family that you love them.
Exactly.
It's raining here today. I don't know whether you can hear us clearly over the fan going because it's really hot and humid, and it's just started raining, so right, no washing on the line today.
Another big part about Christmas is a lot of people do a Christmas lunch or a Christmas dinner. That's also really important to consider in your total, disposable income for the day.
What you're spending.
Because again, if you spend all that money only on gifts, people are going to probably be a bit hungry.
What, we're just getting dry crackers for lunch? That's not going to work.
So I guess, what are some of your tips, Mum, when it comes to, you've fed a really big crowd at Christmas. We do big Christmas lunches every year. So what are some of your tips? Obviously, we're on a much larger scale in terms of how much we need, but what are some tips even for you that you use to be a bit more budget friendly, or I guess to, alleviate some of that.
Some of that pressure. Again, we can feed anywhere from 10 people at a meal to 25 plus people. And look, most of my time is taken up budgeting, buying groceries, prepping meals. So I work on that all year. But if you haven't been doing that all year and you've now gotten to you know, a couple of weeks before Christmas, and you're looking at your budget and you're like, oh, I haven't got anything prepared, now's the time to get that organised.
Yep.
So again, we're going to write a food list next. You need to know how many people are coming to your house for either lunch or dinner, and always count in maybe 1 or 2 extra people, because family and friends sometimes just unexpectedly drop in to say hi and wish you some lovely Christmas wishes and have a little bit of fun, and they want to spend some time, and then you're like, oh, I might need some cake and some coffee for them. Or if they come at a meal time, you're going to want to sit down with them and invite them to join your feast. But your feast doesn't have to be expensive. You can keep that simple as well.
Obviously, we understand that Christmas is such a special time when it comes to, you do want to have beautiful food, and like you want to feel full, and definitely like, but it's just making sure that you're not putting so much money of your budget into the food that food is then being wasted. So don't think that you have to kind of live up to that expectation of having what you see on social media or what you see in movies, where it's just this like, you know, multiple table with just like
with all the
like
fancy
everything
foods,
in there, because definitely like, especially if you're on a more restricted budget, you can still have a really nice Christmas dinner or lunch, but you can keep it, you know, within your budget. So what are some tips for you so that we don't overbuy this year on food?
Right. So depending on where you live, will depend on what you're serving. Most people here in Australia, we have our ham, chicken, maybe turkey, seafood. We do a lot of seafood down here on Christmas Day because the weather is generally mid to high 30s. Like that's Celsius. It's really hot. So here we stick to colder foods. If you're living in a country where it is already cold and you're going to be looking for some yummy foods to sort of warm everyone up, you can also do that on a budget. Use whatever's in season at the time. So if particular veggies are in season, buy those. The same here with our salad items. We don't go out of our way to purchase fruits and veggies that are not in season. We just buy what's in season so we can save that money.
I think one of the fruits that I guess we are as kids most fond of the memories is mangoes, because they normally are in season at Christmas time for us, and obviously it's very hot and that always makes the best dessert. But obviously, again, it all just depends on if they're a bit more pricey, then we won't do them. But yeah, definitely as little kids, that's a big memory that all of us would have. So everyone would look forward to Christmas time because that's when we had mangoes.
You'd get a big tray and share them all out. We're lucky here because all the stone fruits are in season, so we can do some nice platters with the fruit on it. Here in Australia, pavlova for dessert is very common, or just plum pudding, bit of custard and ice cream is really, really super nice. If you can't afford gifts and lunch for everyone, one thing that we've often sat and talked about was actually making the meal the gift. So you could actually gather with your family and friends, put an apron on everyone. Everyone could bring something as their contribution to lunch or dinner. And that time of cooking in the kitchen and prepping the meal and serving it, setting the table together, that's the gift that you give each other. So you might not be able to afford something to wrap and put under the tree, but you can have the gift of spending time in a kitchen with a family member or a friend, just creating a meal together. Imagine how beautiful it will be to look back in years to come of everyone in the kitchen cooking together. Set the table, everyone stand behind it, set up your phone on your timer with your camera and take a photo, and we go, this is what we created together. This is Christmas 2024. This is how we got through this tough year and we survived.
The last point that you talked about right in the beginning of the video was the schedule. Now we're only a couple weeks out from Christmas now, so what does that mean for the schedule, and you know, what do people have to do to get that organised, I guess?
It can seem a bit scary, can't it? Particularly if you're a parent and you have children that need to be at different places. There's lots of events, there's lots of functions on at the moment and gatherings, and it's hard to keep that organised. Write it down. Have it in a diary, put it on your whiteboard up on the wall, put it somewhere where you can keep track of it all so that you know who has to be where, when, with what, in what.
Yeah.
You know, whether you are dressed up for something, whether you need to take a plate of food with you, whether you need to take gifts with you. This is where you need to stay on top of your schedule. So write it down and know where you have to be. In amongst all of those functions and events is when you have to shop for your gifts and shop for your food, prep it and get it ready for December 25th.
So that means we need to act right now.
Yes. No time like the present.
So it always
give
is.
it that present.
It always is. The sooner you can get onto it, the better.
Yes.
So we are in a, like, I guess, time frame now. We've still got a couple of weeks, which is good. But yeah, the sooner you get onto
now,
it.
today. So you will have finished your coffee while you've watched this video. It is time. Go grab the pen and paper. Write down the things that we spoke about, which was your budget, your gifts, your food, and your schedule.
Yep.
And then hit the shops. And now if you can't get out of the house, jump online. See if you can find a few things online that can be delivered to your door, including your food.
Yep.
So if you don't have time to go out and do a big grocery shop, get somebody to bring it to you. But let's just get through the next couple of weeks. Let's get to the day so we can enjoy it. Don't stress about it. It's just one day. It's not going to make or break your life if things don't go to plan, or it's not perfect, or if it doesn't look like it does in the movies. It's okay. This is real life. We're doing real life right here.
Yep.
So if you have any tips that you want to add to what we've spoken about today, pop those in the comments below. We better go and check our list to make sure that we're on track with everything that we need to do here in our house, because there's a lot of people coming.
Yeah. We're going to let you get to it then.
Thanks for watching, everyone. God bless.
And happy shopping.